PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Let's go back in time. Let's have a little bit of fun and let's look at the market right now. So the market for the car business has slowed down, both on the new car side and the used car side. Interest rates are up. Prices are still high. The housing market slowed down. The car market slowed down. People are trying to hold on to their money. Food prices are higher. And we've been here before. Some of you are new to the car business and you haven't been here before. Some of you have been around as long as I have, and we have been here before. So the greatest thing about the market slowing down is when the market speeds back up. So I'm going to take you back and do a little nostalgia today, and I'm going to talk about the STAR safety system. Two features I want to talk about today, and I'll take this on for the next couple of weeks. I'll talk about ABS, anti-lock brake system, and traction control. These are things we don't talk about because they've been on cars now for a very long time. So way back in the day, when a car would stop, you would have to pump the brakes, because if a car loses traction, give you an example of visual. If you're watching a NASCAR race or an IndyCar race and a car goes down on the infield onto the grass, or a car starts to spin, you'll see that car will actually speed up and overtake the car in front of them, because once that car has lost that tire patch contact on the asphalt, the car will actually speed up. They say a little term in racing, if you hit the grass, it causes gas, because you have lost all traction and there's nothing holding the car back now. So when you used to apply the brakes, if you locked the brakes up, then you had no control. You could spin the steering wheel, the car was going to go straight and it's going to run over whatever. So they invented anti-lock brakes, and it's very simple. What it does is the computer system on a Toyota has a 4-channel ABS. So each wheel has its own actuator, and it can pulsate the brakes to make sure that the brakes can modulate and there's no wheel lockup and slide. Give you an example. You're on a highway and somebody moves you off the highway. So you have two of your tires that are on the gravel off of the asphalt, and you hammer the brakes. If it was a 1-channel system, then that car is going to stop further because all 4 wheels would start to modulate. But in the Toyota system, the 2 wheels that have lost that traction that are in that gravel will start to modulate, and the other 2 wheels will be stopping at the maximum capacity for the traction on the asphalt. So that gives it a straight stopping distance, and you can still steer the car. So I guess the simple of ABS is maximum braking efficiency while having the ability to steer the car. Granted, if you're in a panic stop, you're probably not thinking about steering, but there are gifted drivers that if they hammer the brakes, they can see an opportunity and miss whatever was in front of them. So ABS, 4-channel ABS. So now the basis of the STAR safety system depends on each one of those wheels modulating based upon 100% efficiency for that individual road surface. I'll give you a story. I like stories. I think stories sell cars. So Courtney was at a motorcycle rally. I was on the road, and I told her when I got home on Friday night, I would blow out early Saturday morning and I would meet up with her for the rest of the weekend. So I got on my Ducati. And I'm not saying I was driving over the speed limit. I'm not saying I was driving under the speed limit. Let's say that I was in a hurry to catch up and spend the weekend with Courtney. I was going through the South Texas area. I came over a hill, and the whole highway was populated with wild pigs. And I hammered the brakes on this Ducati. And immediately the bike just started vibrating underneath me. Now, here's what would have happened if I hadn't had an ABS on that bike. As soon as I went hard to that front brake, because it was a panic stop. I mean, some of these pigs were gigantic. I hammered the brakes. If that front wheel would have locked up, it would have kicked out from under me, and then at that speed that I'm not telling you I was driving, I would have been sliding down the highway into the pigs. So what happened was the ABS on the bike allowed me to maintain control of the bike, to manipulate the bike, and the end of the story is I actually stopped before I got to the herd of pigs, but that was a very, very in my face, this is how ABS works. So again, remember, all four wheels have the same ability. So let's move away from ABS, because you understand what this does is it actually makes a driver a better driver or more efficient stopper. A lot of cars are being bought right now for that 16th birthday. So it's their very first car. And kids that are driving that are 16 years old probably will never drive a vehicle without analog brakes. So they think that they're better drivers than people, 40, 50 years ago, but they are, but it's not because of them and their talent. It's because of the technology in the car. So let's move forward. So I'm going to go from ABS to traction control. So let's go with a two-wheel drive Toyota, Corolla, Camry, front-wheel drive. When a wheel starts to spin under power, so to look at why is the tire spinning, the driver has made a mistake. The driver has over-accelerated the car. That's the easiest way to describe something. If you're driving on a slick surface, like a rain-slick road or a road covered in ice, and you over-accelerate, you're going to spin the tires. And so that's the main problem, is over-acceleration. So now what happens is in a front-wheel drive car, so you have a front axle powered to only the front wheels. Once a wheel starts to slip, believe it or not, the power goes to the slipping wheel. So there's a differential. And what a differential does is allows wheels to turn at different rates. I guess I need to back you into nostalgia for a second. So initially when I started selling cars, the majority of the cars were rear drive cars. Once the manufacturer started making front wheel drive cars, the biggest problem was I need to be able to slow down the inside wheel on a wide sweeping turn, because if those wheels tried to turn at the same speed, it would wear the tires out very fast. And so Toyota came in with a viscous coupling system that allowed the wheels to turn at different rates. But once this wheel starts to spin, the differential is going to put power to the wheel that's spinning. So you're not going anywhere. You're just spinning one tire, beep, 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 and you're not going. So now watch what ABS does. So remember, we've got two things that control traction control: the brakes and reduction of throttle. Let's back up a second. Why is the wheel slipping? Because the driver is over-accelerating the car. So the first key feature of traction control is the electronic throttle control system with intelligence. Even though I'm over-accelerating, I'm making a mistake, I'm heavy into the throttle, and the wheel starts to spin, the computer can shut the airflow down to the accelerator. So you would hear, if you were listening, you'd hear a whoa, whoa. And so all of a sudden, I'm trying to go fast, and the engine's reducing the airflow, which reduces the fuel flow, which slows the car down. And all of a sudden, I start to move, and I'm saying, wow, man, I am a really good driver. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. You didn't accomplish that. The ABS system worked with the throttle kill, and it allowed the car to go. The second thing is, if I'm really mashing the throttle and I'm way over accelerating, the computer has the ability to apply brakes to the slipping wheel. Now wait a minute. I got one wheel slipping over here, and all the ABS has to do is slow the wheel rotation. So if the wheel rotation on this wheel gets slowed by the brakes, watch this, then this wheel starts to go slower than this wheel, and the power is driven to this wheel. If this wheel starts to spin, the power is driven to this wheel, and then this wheel, and then this wheel. And if you've been following me for multiple years, I do it like this. Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan. So it's back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to give you a visual of how the traction control really works. So it is Thanksgiving at grandmother's house. And grandmas have those pieces of furniture that were made by like real furniture makers that were made out of one whole tree. So the dining table for the whole family is made out of oak, and it is massively heavy. So she gets the three biggest grandsons and granddaughters and says, y'all move that table over here in the sunlight. I want to be over here. It's where I want to eat. So you start to push the table, and it will not move. I mean, it's like welded to the earth. So what you do is you push it sideways, and then you push it sideways, and then you push it sideways, and you tack it back and forth. And by doing that, you move the table where grandmother wants the table. That's exactly how traction control works. Watch this. and the car's getting that modulation, and it works itself out of that slick situation. So 2 things today. The ABS modulates the brakes so that you don't lock the brakes up so you can control the car. Traction control uses the brakes and the throttle kill to make you a more efficient driver on slick road surfaces. Stay tuned. We'll pick up the pace next week, and we'll talk about 2 other Star Safety System features. And we also might slip into, if traction control does that, what does active traction control do? PK52, the old school Saturday morning meeting.